Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Backstage Pass on the Boise Beat. Today we have the distinct pleasure of hosting Marcus Hernandez, the visionary founder and musical director of Orchestra Fuego. From the vibrant streets of Brooklyn to the sunlit stages of Florida, Marcus has dedicated his life to the pulsating rhythms of salsa, leading his 12-piece ensemble to international acclaim. Under his guidance, Orchestra Fuego has not only revived classic salsa sounds, but also infused them with fresh energy, earning accolades such as the 2024 Independent Music Award for Best Album and multiple Lit Music Awards. Their latest album, Nostalgia, masterfully reimagines classics from legends like Ella Fitzgerald and James Brown, all with a fiery salsa twist. Join us as we delve into Marcus's remarkable journey, exploring the passion and perseverance that has solidified Orchestra Fuego's place in the global music scene. Marcus, what's happening, brother? How you doing today?
Everything is great, man. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a tremendous blessing to be here with you, man.
Yeah, same here. No, I'm
Yeah.
stoked to get to know you a little bit, and we're on opposite sides of the planet here, but we
Yeah,
share
yeah.
something in common and the love for music. And man, when I started hearing some of the sounds that you guys were piecing together, I'm like, I got to talk to this guy. So I'm stoked.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
great, great.
Well,
Yeah.
let's rewind the clock back a little bit if we could, and I want to talk about the origins, if you would, the origin stories. Like, talk to us a little bit about your journey and kind of what sparked your passion for salsa music and how you got started with what you're doing.
Yeah, man. I started this way back in the 70s, man, when salsa was born. It was in New
Uh-huh.
York City. Salsa was everywhere, but I wasn't a salsero in the beginning. I mean, I was raised and born in Brooklyn. I was more of a Motown kind of guy. That's
Okay.
what I like. The James Brown, the
Yeah.
stylistics, and all that stuff. Right. It
Yeah.
wasn't until I was in college I was pursuing accounting career, and a band came during the Latin festivals, and they playing salsa, and I never heard up to that point. It just never really heard it, but it just penetrated my soul, man. It was just like, wow,
Mm,
man. I just fell in love with the music. So I started taking I started taking lessons, late in life, 'cause most people start, 4 or 5, taking piano lessons and stuff like that. I had
mhm.
such a passion for it that I just first I approached the piano player that came, and I asked him if he gave lessons, and I did. I went after school and I took lessons from this guy, and he taught me, piano and everything like that. And then later on, I started to take a little bit more classes and learning how to play a little bit more. But then I hooked up with a lot of the famous guys. So I started my own band, in the 70s. Fuego, and then that later became Fuego 77 because I was
Mm,
fortunate enough to get picked up by Larry Harlow. Larry Harlow saw us at a festival, and he's the one that introduced me to Jerry Masucci, and we got to record with. Well, originally started with Fania, but then Larry was busy doing something, so we got with Al Santiago, who was the guy that ran the Leg of the All Stars. So we
mhm.
ended up with Leg of the label, but it was all Fania basically. I mean, we recorded in the same studio Celia was recording at that time. But
Wow.
then I hooked up with these big piano players. Oscar Hernandez was my friend. He is my friend still for years. Him and his buddy El Pulpo. And then later on, I hooked up with Arturo Ortiz, who's still my good friend for years, over 30 years. And they also every now and then I get together with them. They say, "Hey man, let's do this and this. Un montuno así, whatever."
Mhm.
So they really taught me the art of really doing the montuno and everything like that. So I've been very, very fortunate to have these giant, piano players, take
Mhm.
interest in me and show me how to groove on the piano. So I'm grateful for that. And moving down here, off obviously to Florida, I hooked up with a guy named Victor Romero, who's also a very accomplished piano player here. He's played with just about everybody. And
Mhm.
I hooked up with him after many years because after the salsa thing, I graduated as an accountant, and once I got my certification, I kind of left music for years,
Mm.
25 years.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't do nothing. Yeah, I was just kind of just building my practice. So I've been an accountant now for 40 years, and I've been in my own practice now for 38 years. So I've been around for a long time as far as an accountant. But I was
Yeah.
the accountant for a lot of these guys: Oscar Hernandez, Arturo Ortiz, I
Wow.
was doing, the Steely Dan band, the Allman Brother band, so they knew me as a musician. So they said, "Wow, this guy's a musician and accountant. Man, that's rare. He understands us." So that was pretty much it. I mean, but during the '70s, '80s. Wow, we were performing almost every day. I mean, there was so many clubs in that area, in the New York City, Connecticut, New Jersey area that you got to perform every day, just about. So, it wasn't until like the late '90s that things started to change. So, you went from playing every day to every weekend and then every month. So it was like,
Yeah.
okay, I gotta get a job, man, because this ain't paying the bills, right?
So entrepreneurship is in your veins too then, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. It's funny because talking about that, even when I was small, I would play baseball, and I said, I mean, I can get a better baseball team than that. I started my own baseball team, man. And even
Yeah.
basketball, because I played basketball in college for a little bit.
Oh, really?
I had a killer three, man. So even that, I wasn't playing all that much. I was on the bench most of the time. I said, you know what, I'm going to start my own team. So I did. I recruited a lot of the
Wow.
college guys from different colleges, and we started like an A team. During the summers and stuff, we competed. I won the first prize, one time. So
Yeah.
I was always been competitive. I always had this desire to be self-employed, sort of. So here I am, my own accounting business for years.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
It's I think more and more people in this arena of music and artistry, they can take a tip from that, about blending entrepreneurship with
sure.
the artistic side of things, right? Like having one definitely helps you in the other, I would say.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So, as a musician and a business guy, I know the both ends, right? So I know
mhm.
how to run it. It's a business, right? And you have to run
Yeah.
it as a business as well. And I think that's what I see in a lot of the smaller bands is that, the work is not as, obviously that it's not like it used to be, right? I mean, you're
Hmm.
playing once or twice a month these days. And for us, it's even different now because of the now, we've gotten, we're 7 albums, we got about a
Hmm.
dozen singles, and it's funny because every year I tell my wife, "This is it, last album, no more." Now I'm working on my eighth production, and we've been
Yeah.
fortunate. It's funny because I called. I did a collaboration with Jose Alberto El Canario on the 22. We won best album for that year, that too. And then I called him up and I said, hey, El Canario, man, I'm doing. I didn't think I was doing another production, but I am. Would you like to do it? Absolutely, man. So he's gonna do a song on our new album as well. So it's just like it's hard to stop the flow now that it's
Yeah.
going. So.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to hang it up when you have a passion for it, right?
Yes,
Like
yeah. Well, the
doing.
deep passion, deep passion. This is not I mean, accounting is my main thing, but this is not a side job. It's just a passion that
Mm,
I have for not only creating, but
hmm.
I love it. I just love the music, and I know it's not what it used to be and whatever, but that doesn't bother me, and I don't pay attention to that. My
Sure.
thing is that I have the perfect guys with me, and we talked a little bit before. I mean, we're not a Christian band per se, but we are believers, and I've been fortunate and blessed to have 11 guys plus myself being believers, and that's not your new normal thing in
Common.
the salsa industry. And and we love it, and we love that we pray before we go on stage, and we do gospel music, and you heard we did our own version of Waymaker and I Can
Hmm.
Only Imagine, and then we have our own original gospel music. So I love both
Wow.
of them, the salsa and the gospel music. I just love it. So it's just
Yeah.
it's just a great, these last 3 years we've been ranked as the number one independent salsa band in the world, which is big, and,
Yeah.
and so
That's
it's
huge.
it's that's a big thing. So because of that, though, we have such a big following. I mean, most of our gigs are in the couple thousand people that show up. So we can't do the
Hmm.
little clubs anymore. So that there goes that one part that we got out
Sure.
of, right? Not that I
Yeah.
really enjoy the clubs all that much, but that was obviously a source of playing the
Yeah.
small clubs, and we can't do that anymore because and the last one we played was about a year and a half ago, and I even asked the guy how many people. Oh, I get about 600. Whoa, that made tight, and there must have been about 1,500 people that showed up. I was
Wow.
afraid the fire department was going to come any
Meat
minute,
capacity.
shut
Yeah.
us down. Yeah, so we only do like the festivals. So we're all over the United States doing festivals. L.A.
Mm.
Pensacola. We're going to be doing a lot of travel this year to New York and all that. So
Nice.
I really enjoy the festivals.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like, talk to me about the way that you guys orchestrate your set then, because you mentioned you're a Motown fan, right? Things started as a Motown
right,
fan, and
right.
and you even blend that into some of your tracks with remakes that you're doing and whatnot. Like, what do you find that hits the most with the sets that you're piecing together for different areas? Like, do you blend the whole 9 yards and throw in Motown, throw in some traditional salsa? Like, talk to me
It
about
all
that.
depends, I mean, I always scout, where am I performing? Who am I performing to?
Hmm.
Who's my audience? And if it's a
Yeah.
mixture of, Americanos and whatever, so we do some festivals down here in Florida that cigar festival, for instance, well, mostly
Hmm.
Americanos, right? So
Yeah.
then I'll throw in the English stuff. I did my own version of James Brown's song on my last album. Right?
Yeah.
I feel good, right? And it
Yeah.
just came out great. We have a great video to that song as well. So it depends on where we perform. I like to kind of do my homework. Where am I performing? Most of the time, it's Latinos,
Hmm.
and we perform a lot in Orlando, Florida here, and that's like being in Puerto Rico.
Sure.
So because it's funny, my singers, they're pretty mixed. My one of them is Venezolana, and then the other one's Puerto Rican and stuff. So when she's calling out, how many people from Mexico? Whoa. How many people Colombia? When she said Puerto Rico, the place explodes. I said, "Why are you even
Mhm.
bothered, man? You're in Orlando."
Yeah, should have expected
So
it.
so when we're in Orlando, it's
Yeah.
it's we bring out our heat, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
You mentioned this latest album, Nostalgia, right?
yeah.
Where you had, remakes like the James Brown track that you did, Ella Fitzgerald, etc. Um, talk about the creative process of doing that on that
I
album.
wanted to do something concept. I've been sticking to the traditional New York City, for more
Hmm.
New York City salsa for all these years. And then 2022, when I won Best Album of the Year at the Independent Music Awards in Hollywood, and also Lit too. Lit's a little lower than them, but they're big. They're pretty
Hmm.
big in California as well. So when I won the thing, shaking hands with everybody and whatever. So a lot of the producers said, "Man, I love your music. I just can't understand what it says." And I said, "Man, And he says, you may want to think about doing some English salsa." And I said, "Wow, that's a good idea. Maybe this is the time to do it." But I wanted to do it, different, because most people just take a song and make a salsa, right? So
Yeah.
what I wanted to do is capture like almost the essence of that song from the beginning. So like,
Mm.
Cry Me a River, right? For
Yeah.
Ella Fitzgerald. When you hear that song, I started off like the original, like jazz and
Hmm.
stuff, and then I break into the salsa, and then I
Mm.
go back to jazz. So I wanted to kind of do that with a lot of the songs. The one that won awards, a lot of awards too, is Over the Rainbow. We did that
Hmm.
one also in salsa version. So this particular album was more dedicated to Americanos, which they loved, and it's great because I was able to get that corporate world going, and that's what
Yeah.
I think that was what I was trying to accomplish, and so I got a lot of the corporate fair, events and whatever. So I think that really hit home with them. They can understand it, they can relate to it. James Brown, I Feel Good, Judy Garland, and all these stuff, and I did one with that has a medley of the Rat Pack.
Yeah.
Gang, so I really had a good time creating and just putting everything together. And plus, I have a guy that I like I'm going to say the last three albums. A guy named Carlos Infante, who is just a genius of
Mm.
putting things together. I mean, I give him the ideas. I say, listen, I want to do this, and then I'll play some of the chord structures. I want to do that, whatever, man. But he takes it to the whole level. He is just an incredible arranger, and what he comes up with is masterful. And I
Mm.
think that's a lot of it is why we won all these awards. One of it is that he when he mixes and masters, it's
Hmm.
top notch. It's just the quality. You can tell the quality from all the other albums that I've done. It's just superior. It's superior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is amazing what happens when you get the right person who knows how to arrange
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've witnessed that in other genres too, and just seeing
Yeah.
the artistry that comes when somebody
Yeah,
knows what
yeah,
they're
he's just
doing.
a fantastic guy to work with, and he's just change this, add this. I did my own version of "My Heart Will Go On," with Celine Dion,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
then I said, you know what, right in the middle, why don't we throw a timpani? And nobody does
Mm.
those things,
Uh-huh.
so or harmonica or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's very creative, and then he'll kind of come up with some things, and we just have fun with it, to adding these different instruments that are not typically of salsa,
Yeah.
timpani and stuff like that. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
but
Yeah, that
it's great.
surprised me
It's great.
too. On
Yeah,
one of them
yeah.
when I caught you using the harmonica, I was like, "Oh, he's taking some risks here and doing some
Right.
different
Yeah,
things."
yeah, 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 yeah. Just kind of thinking out of the box, right? Thinking out of the box.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be. I never was one of those to kind of follow the crowd or the herd or whatever. And I like to do my own thing, regardless. I've had success, but regardless what the people take to it or not, I just have a great time
Hmm.
creating and bringing new things. But look, I had good success with it, which is great. I won best album of the year again, so
Yeah.
obviously people liked it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to
yeah.
speak to that. Independent Music Award for Best Album. I mean, that's a huge accolade to have for you. So it's
That is like the
obviously.
equivalent of winning a Grammy for us, because the
Hmm.
Grammys are hard because you're competing against Mark Anthony and Victor Manuel, the usual guys like Gilberto Santa
Sure.
Rosa, and they're supported by companies, Sony
Right.
and stuff like that. So
You got a big
if I
push.
put $5,000 in promotion, they'll put 20. So
Hmm.
so it's really difficult. I mean, I got nominated many years ago, but it's just hard to compete with that kind of stuff. So I kind of try to stick to the independent world, and we've
Hmm.
had a lot of success with that. So winning at that level at the Independent Music Awards, that's like for us, it is, and for many artists, if you're there, you'll see all these artists. Some of them that have won Grammys,
Hmm.
the jazz guys and the whatever. Oh man, these guys are. I mean, some of them are Juilliard.
Right.
Guys, these guys are
Hmm.
intense musicians. To when you win best album, you're not winning best salsa album. You're winning
Hmm.
best album. So
Yeah.
you're winning about these guys are accomplished musicians for many years and have won Grammys and whatever, or Latin Grammys and Latin jazz or whatever. So when you're there and when they call out your name, I mean, I looked at my wife and was, man, they just call our name
Mm,
because there were some really good albums out there with the jazz guys and whatever. And
yeah.
when they called our name, it was just mind blowing that we were able to accomplish that.
Yeah. Well, it's decades in the
Yeah,
mix, right? Like you've been at this for a minute, which
yeah,
is something that I'd like you to speak to as well. Being the fact that you've been in the industry for decades, like if there is a secret sauce, like what's the secret sauce to staying relevant in such a competitive field? Because it's super competitive.
it
What
is.
would you
It
say?
is. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I want to say, you got to be creative. You got to think outside the box. You can't just say, you're going to follow somebody else and say, okay, that is successful, and I'm gonna jump on the wagon with that because that may not just work with you. So and I've tried it. Believe me, I've tried doing that and saying, okay, that's very popular. Let me do that. It doesn't do anything. So
Hmm.
I try to stick to my own creativity, my own style, and I want to stay true to that. And that's exactly what even this English salsa that we did. It's our salsa, it's our style,
Hmm.
And Carlos has been also been very instrumental in that because he captures what I'm trying to do. I want to
Mm,
stay here. And he
yeah.
does it, and he's just been great with the arrangements and everything like that. So that's one thing I think for artists, salsa artists that are have the band and they're struggling. Just man, stay with your style. Don't try to mimic somebody else because they're doing great or whatever.
Yeah.
Just do your thing, man. Whatever. And I can tell you one thing, man. Rehearsal.
Hmm.
Which is hard to get people motivated to do the rehearsal because especially if you got no gig coming up or whatever, a lot of the guys say, well, there's no gig coming up, I'm not gonna. It's important to kind of be that leader that you can kind of inject that desire in them to say, hey man, we need to be ready. So
Hmm.
in order to be ready, we need to rehearse. So that's
Yeah.
how the concept has to be. And for me, it's like you don't come to rehearsal, the guy that comes to rehearsal gets the gig.
Hmm.
So we have some really good gigs. So the guys are always at rehearsal, So we prepare. We're going to be rehearsing in a couple of weeks again. So when there's nothing happening right now, we rehearse. So
Yeah.
it's the opposite of what most other bands do is that they don't rehearse until they have something. And
Yeah.
I think that you know, yeah, you got some good sight readers, but you're not kind of when you have to be at your papers kind of looking at it all the
Right.
time,
You
you
can't
can't
flow.
groove. You can't groove, right?
Yeah.
Rather than when you rehearse and you know the song and you get on stage, you know the song, yeah, and
Hmm.
you're very familiar with it. So, and I think that's what separates us from a lot of the other guys is that first of all, we put on a show. The girls dance in the front and everything. The
Hmm.
guys are always kind of moving, and I've been fortunate too with I have a new percussionist, Ramses Arraya, who's the conguero for Ruben Blades. And
Nice.
this guy is fierce. He is
Mm,
fierce. Yeah, he's fierce. And then my timbalero too. He's a percussion for a gospel band, and he tours around. He tours around. He's always been hasn't conflict, so he's always around when we do our thing.
mhm,
But he's an excellent timbalero. He's just fantastic,
mm.
man. Yeah,
That's
fantastic. And then a lot of the
amazing.
rest of the guys I have, they've been with me since I started. So
Yeah.
it's just been great to have that continuity. We're having the same guys when we perform. They know the songs, and we rock. We rock.
Yeah, that's awesome. Earlier you alluded to staying true kind of to what your salsa is, right? Like what your sonido de salsa is, and salsa's undergone like waves of popularity, right, over
Right,
the
right,
years.
right,
We even see the genre evolving. I don't know, good, bad, or indifferent, how
right.
you feel about the um, evolution of it in today's global landscape. Like, what do you see salsa doing as far as an evolution of music style is concerned, and like, what is your perception of it?
I think what we as salseros, I mean, a lot of the bands that are out there are older bands, Sonora Ponceña and stuff like that, So I think that there's a good wave of some really good talent, the young talent, Christian Alicea is one of
Hmm.
them. So I think, that's the new age of salsa music, that modern beat type of thing, so I think that's necessary. Bad Bunny did his thing just
Hmm.
recently, and a lot of criticism because he's
Sure.
mostly in the reggaeton and stuff. So,
Hmm.
but I think that's the new age of the salsa is you gotta appeal to the younger people because they're gonna be around. These older guys are kind of they're winding down. So it's like we
Yeah.
have to appeal. I mean, the Gran Combo is great. They got music for wow, hits, a lot of hits.
Yeah.
But also we need to have something, the new bands that are producing stuff that we gotta be conscious of that. We gotta be conscious that the new age of the salsero is a lot younger than it was before. So,
Mm.
and that's one of the things that I try to also capture in my new style, sort of, is to keep fresh. Let's do modern, a little bit more modern, and I think that's good because a lot of the younger people. It's funny when I'm looking at analytics, I look at
Mhm.
that and I see, oh, okay, the age group has changed. It's not, it used to be 50 to whatever, and now
Yeah.
it's 30s and 40s. That's
Mm.
okay. Okay, I like that because it means the younger people are really taking to Orquesta Fuego's new style of let's try to be a little bit more modern.
Yeah. So with that in mind, then, speaking of like generational, for those musicians who want to build up and coming or lasting, I should say, careers, especially in Latin music, whether it's cumbia, whether it's salsa, etc. What would be some advice or your insight that you would give to those people who are of a younger generation and looking to make a lasting career out of it?
Again, don't forget to leave money for promotion, right? Because I
Yeah.
think productions are expensive these days. Not many people, not many Latin groups are doing albums, full albums. They're either
Hmm.
doing singles and then maybe an EP. But we've been on the very few that are doing albums. So
Hmm.
again, seven. Now we got an eighth coming out. So that's not easy. I've been very fortunate also. My fans have been just great. They buy things from us and they buy our music. But I also have sponsors also that help out. And so I'm playing both hats here because I'm the business
Yeah.
guy. I'm also doing my management, stuff like that. So I'm out
Hmm.
there reaching out to people, reaching out to companies, and I think that's important that you need to. So if you don't do it, then get somebody to do it because you need to reach out to companies for sponsorship so that you can survive. It's not all
Exactly.
coming out of your own pocket, even
Yep.
though for us it is. But again, I've been fortunate to get some really good sponsors that help me with productions, or if I really want to play somewhere and the guy doesn't have a budget or whatever, but I'm going to be playing with Victor Manuel, for instance, right? But the guy
Hmm.
that has I got a sponsor, he covers the band. There's no such thing with us doing free because I have a band that sponsor that covers the band, right?
Yeah.
So and we've done that. I mean, we've played with
That's
Victor
smart.
Manuel. We played with Victor Manuel. So again, you got it. It's a business.
Yeah.
You got to treat it like a business, man.
Yeah.
You got to do your, due diligence. You got to get out there. You got to talk to people. And
Hmm.
I think one of the things that most bands are afraid of is communicating. And you got to
Hmm.
tell your fans what you want from them.
Yeah.
You want them to buy your stuff? Buy my stuff.
Yeah.
You got to say it. You got to say it.
Right.
You can't just assume because your music is really good that they're going to
Hmm.
buy it automatically. You got to really, you got to get out there, especially your shows, bring your merchandise and hey,
Hmm.
and you got to say it, and what I've been doing is training my singers. I've been the one now going in the front talking because my
Hmm.
singers have been forgetting about the merchandise, and I go out there, right intermission or whatever. I go out there, talk to everybody, but hey, I got merchandise table right here, whatever,
Hmm.
and they come. I said,
Yeah.
please support us by buying something, right? And they
Yeah.
come. If you ask them, they'll come and they'll buy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Especially if you're creating the environment where they're enjoying themselves, right? And
yeah,
especially in this genre of music, I
yeah,
can
yeah,
see
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
You mentioned the eighth album that's in the works right now, which we didn't get to talk a whole lot about, but Explain what's going into this upcoming project or any collaborations that are involved with that.
Yeah. This is going to be cool, man. Because I first started off with just an idea, right? Just I wanted to do something, not descarga, right? Descarga. We haven't done that in a while, you know. It's a descarga, just more for the. I think, and my thinking was more for the dancers, right? Just do
Mm.
something for for dancers and stuff. So the first descarga came out, and I said, "Wow, okay, this came out pretty good." You know, let me start, and then the juices started flowing and stuff like that. So then I did my next one, but the next one that came out. I said, man, this is perfect. I can hear because we did a collaboration with Jose Alberto Canario in our Candela album, which was our sixth album, right? And
Uh-huh.
then but when I did the song, I said, this is Canario all the way, man. So I
Mm.
called him up again. I said, probably, look, I thought seventh album was the final one, but I'm working on another one. I got this song. Let me show it to you. And he loved it. He loved it. So he's actually, I think tomorrow he's going in to record his vocals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we're gonna have a new song with him. It's gonna
Yeah.
be great. Oh, it's a party song, a party song. Yeah,
Yeah.
party song. Yeah, and I'm working on another arrangement with So this guy in Hollywood this past year when we won the best album, this guy a
Mhm.
guitar player. He must have won 7 or 8 trophies. He won for
Wow.
best jazz, best rock song, best alternative. But he had his album was so cross
Genre.
musical. Yeah,
Yeah.
that he won on almost every category.
That's
So
amazing.
I was, again, I was surprised that I beat him on the album thing because he did have an album that was really just touched every. He did a classical guitar thing, a classical. So the guy's
Wow.
intense. So I called him up and I said, "Hey, man, I would love to feature." Yeah, absolutely. So we're working on an idea to get him on there to do his thing, stuff like that. So it'll be more like a cha-cha type of style, but he's intense. He's intense. So it'll be great to work with him.
Yeah. Wow. That's what's up. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are dropping with this upcoming eighth
Yeah,
album.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well, Marcus, this has been phenomenal. Getting to know you a little bit, hearing more about Orchestra Fuego. Looking forward to this upcoming project that you're going to be dropping. Where
yeah.
can listeners find you guys at? Where can they find your music? Where can they go for latest updates, etc.?
Orchestrafuego.com, and that is the one-stop shop. You can get you can hear our music for free. And again, always reach out to my fans. Hey, man, we don't get any support except from you guys, man.
Hmm.
So please buy a song, buy an album. We have LPs now. We have the vinyls. So
Nice.
anything we have T-shirts.
Uh-huh.
We got everything. We got everything. So please
Yeah.
support us. Orchestrafuego.com. And then there are links to all our social media. We're on everything from Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, you name it, we're on
Mm.
it. So
Okay.
YouTube Music. So they can find us anywhere, and then encourage them to go check out our videos. We got some, we must have at least 20 videos, music
Hmm.
videos. So we have a lot of music videos, and we love I love doing the music videos. So we have a lot of fun doing them, and most of the time I have my own band, but this last album kind of because I was featuring some singers. So I was featuring this young lady from the Philippines. She was 16 at the time. I think she's
Oh, wow.
17 now, but she's 16. Wow, man, she Cry Me a River. I got to check out that
Mm.
video. She is fantastic. And then I found this guy online. Searching through my Facebook, and I found this guy named David D. And man, I heard him singing a Celine Dion song, and this guy could belt it out. He
Mm.
does. We do our own version of Besame Mucho, and that's also on Nostalgia. And we did a
Uh-huh.
video to that, which won also Best Video of the Year. And so
Wow.
he's an incredible singer. Yep. So
See,
check
that's
us
a
out,
testament to,
orchestrafuego.com.
yeah, that's a great testament to connecting with people, right? And building relationships, like getting out there and talking with people and seeing what can come out of it.
Absolutely, man. Yep, that's what it's all about, man. Our
Yeah.
community. Just having people that remember us and love us, and I'm always reaching out to people and talking to them, and at the events. They ask me, just come up to me and say hello, man. I'll be grateful for that.
Yeah, that's what's up. Marcus, it's been a pleasure. We'll definitely put your music player. We'll put one of the players in the write up of this interview here. And so, anybody else that's getting or listening to this, make sure you check it out. Check out the music. It's going to get you up and moving in no time.
I
All right.
appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to be here again. Thank you
You
for the
got it.
blessing. Okay.
Thank you, brother.
See you, man.